Mom's been working on this turkey all day.
Actor Christopher Denham's directorial debut home movie has a very unassuming premise when placed against every other found footage horror. It tells the story of a mother and father called Claire and David Poe, who after moving their family to the countryside in upstate New York, decide to document their new lives using a 2006 consumer-grade camcorder. However, as the months go by from Halloween to Easter the following year, it slowly comes to light that their children Jack and Emily are exhibiting abnormal antisocial behavior that lead both parents to differing but no less startling conclusions. What unfolds is a subtle yet increasingly unsettling domestic thriller as we witness both Claire and David's relationship unravel as they struggle to comprehend whether what's happening to their children is purely psychological or perhaps a result of darker supernatural forces at play. Now, as a clear warning for some, the film does not give you any answers, so be prepared to sit in the unknowingness of what happens. But if you were to ask me, my theory certainly leans on the latter, as we will explore several nuggets of information that the film teases throughout that can leave you interpreting events in multiple ways. At barely 75 minutes long, I wouldn't be quick to call Home Movie a must-see hidden gem necessarily, because frankly, I did not find it scary nor disturbing, and it's nothing you've never seen before. Although, if you like short, simple, ambiguous mysteries, eerie minimalism, and want a story that's basically an inverse to the powerfully somber and distressing Exhibit A, Home Movie still offers a modestly interesting take on the evil children trope as it explores themes of nature versus nurture while giving strong emotional gravitas to the grieving parents at the heart of it all. You know the drill at this point. If you have any thoughts or theories on the film, please make sure to leave them with me in the comments below, along with any requests for future videos. And now, as always, brace yourself. Now, before we dive into despair, I'm sure you true crime fans out there love listening to podcasts and audiobooks when on the go, whether it be your morning walks, outdoor workouts, or daily commutes. That's why this video is sponsored by Raycon. With summer in full swing, my Raycon bone conduction headphones have become a staple of the season to give me the best audio quality while still hearing what's going on around me. Bone conduction headphones sit just outside my ears and send sound through vibrations in my bones so I can stay safe and aware of traffic and pedestrians without compromising on my audio listening experience even during calls. Raycon bone conduction headphones have 13 hours of battery life, are IP68 waterproof and dustproof, have a lightweight design to ensure both maximum comfort and fit, and best of all, they are half the cost of other big audio brands while still delivering premium quality. Raycons are an essential part of my everyday routine for walking cheddar, keeping motivated at the gym, and decompressing after a long, stressful day. Heck, my wife even loves to steal my bone conduction headphones for her marathons because we share things. With a 30-day happiness guarantee and my however seal of approval, bone conduction headphones are a great option for everyday listening. Click the link in the description box below or go to buyraycon.com/RyanBC to get 20% off. Thanks to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Home Movie opens by setting a sinister tone that's loosely symbolic of where events end up, as we see a shot of decaying roadkill being poked at by two flies before we're introduced to the film's structure, which takes us through several seasonal vignettes that document the increasing disturbances of the two children representing the flies. The first is fittingly Halloween, as we see the Poe parents gleefully embrace festivities as they attempt to capture idyllic family memories with only a few small cracks in the illusion to address real-world matters. Some of you will immediately notice the parallels to my review of Exhibit A, as the parents' sincere, if partly showboating laughter and happiness, slowly erodes to quiet tension and unease as their children exhibit strange demeanors, while the father-son game of baseball succumbs to Jack abruptly throwing rocks at his father. Claire finds her younger daughter Emily drawing pictures alone under the secrecy of the siblings' clubhouse deep within the woods, before she oddly chooses to play dead. At first, the parents don't think much of it as they seemingly brush it off as the children struggling to adjust to their new home, but as David and Claire continue to disregard their children's red flags, it becomes a fatal conflict in their relationship. The thing is, one of the film's greatest strengths is how both actors convey excellent chemistry in their cute, lovey-dovey, playful antics, as we learn David is a smoking hot pastor, all too aware of his own charm and let's just call it saucy sinfulness, while Claire is the chief resident of the psychiatric ward at a children's hospital in Philadelphia. You can immediately tell from their occupations where things are going in the second half, as both parents lean into their individual expertise to make sense of their children's increasingly violent behaviors, as they're abruptly shown to kill goldfish, frogs, and eventually crucify the family cat. These escalations are as sudden as they sound because the film forgoes any jump scares or dramatic sound cues in favour of a pure, grounded, unceremonious rawness that's depicted within the camera work. For example, on the night of the parents' anniversary, they're disrupted by the whimpering of their dog outside the children's room, to which they enter and see the siblings simply sharing a bed together, which Claire finds odd but David thinks is cute, but when the camera pans back, they're suddenly standing as if possessed. As the seasons continue, the film begins to emphasize a growing theme of parental intervention, where Claire rebukes David for neglecting to punish or educate the children on their poor behavior, suggesting that his inaction as a parent can be seen as enablement. In effect, he's letting them get away with murder, as they say, as Claire is unable to parent alone, at least not until Christmas Day, when the kids crucify the cat, prompting Claire to commence a psychological evaluation on their children. This is where we begin seeing nature versus nurture, science versus faith, and the psychological versus the supernatural really begin to take shape, because several passing details presented earlier in the film get called back into question, which I will stress now does lead us into fairly heavy spoiler territory. The first majorly strange detail I clued onto was when David explains that during his 7 AM morning run, he began following strange ethereal music that gradually morphed into an ice cream jingle the closer he got, eventually discovering a random ice cream truck passing by the forest. Now, out of context, it's an odd detail that's seemingly innocuous and easy to overlook, but it distinctly ties back into an earlier scene where David tells the kids a fairy tale about a supposedly friendly dragon that eventually eats the children that help it, claiming it's a parable to never trust strangers. Again, the film never explains it, but my ongoing theory at this point was that the children encountered said ice cream truck, and the owner is responsible for why they've been acting so strange because of whatever is in the ice cream, whether it be drugs or something cursed and supernatural. This is compounded when the eventual motif of their strangeness is their obsession with biting that soon escalates into potential devouring. However, as David's faith prompts him to believe that the house is cursed with a vague demonic evil, Claire attempts to rationalize it as possibly some form of delusional disorder. In fact, during New Year's, we discover a long-existent strain between the couple as David is revealed to be an alcoholic who admits to having put on a brave face this entire time as he has lost faith in his kids and has succumbed to despair. Claire even reveals a similar sentiment, confessing to herself that the idyllic, happy family she envisioned is not at all what she got, and instead, her entire family feel like strangers to her. The potential implication here is that you could see the film as an allegory for a broken household, because when combined with David's strong Lutheran faith, which the kids are seemingly rejecting, what we see on the outside is the siblings lashing out against a profoundly stressful living situation. Hell, they've even created their own safe space to get away from their parents. While I personally don't interpret this as being the literal case for what's going on, it's still a very valid subtext, especially when Claire discovers the children covered in severe bite marks after David's drinking has intensified, to which she reveals David was abused as a kid and possibly inherited abusive traits and is thus most likely responsible for the children's disturbed behavior. Claire's belief in their abuse is only further compounded when the children claim that the bite marks were caused by the man living in the closet, which echoes a patient case Claire previously worked on about a boy with severe delusions who talked about a man made of nails living under his bed. Besides the pure nightmare fuel these descriptions evoke in your imagination, you can see how the story is constantly littering out information to construct different ways of interpreting what's happening. As a result, we see a shift in this theory when the accusations of abuse are dismissed, when by Valentine's Day, Claire learns that the kids are expelled from school for relentlessly biting a boy, realizing to her that they inflicted their own bites upon each other. While Claire decides to heavily medicate the children, David decides to pull the exorcism card in a scene that's just really awkward and out of place, so that when the final act takes us to Easter, we're left uncertain if the children's miraculous recovery is a result of the medication or David's very lackluster exorcism. Obviously, it's revealed that neither method worked, as David soon follows a trail to the kids' clubhouse, where he finds Emily's drawings from the opening that see the siblings eating others, while the carcasses of animals litter the room, before finally discovering the kids attempting to suffocate and seemingly devour a boy from their new school. My theory here strongly relates back to David's biblical references throughout that suggest the children are possibly offering sacrifices to a deity of sorts, echoing back to Thanksgiving where the children refuse to worship before they eat. For example, David recounts the story of Cain killing his brother Abel out of jealousy for Abel's animal flock being accepted as a sacrifice by God. If the deity accepts their sacrifice, the children are granted permission to devour it, drawing that far-reaching parallel back to the two flies poking at the roadkill in the opening. After everything that's happened, it's revealed that the kids are made to spend one final night in custody of their parents despite David and Claire's protests, with David attempting to rationalize the abstract nature of his faith as God simply working in mysterious ways, through reference to Abraham agreeing to sacrifice his son Isaac to prove his loyalty to God. Both parents break down at the notion that this is all a test of their faith, only for that very night to result in the inevitable as the kids violently attempt to sacrifice their parents. I'm not going to recount all the long-winded details of what happens, but there is a scene where we see Claire manage to escape and get confirmation of the mysterious ice cream truck that David mentioned passing by, suggesting some mysterious force is at play, unless this is truly just incidental timing. The ending sees the children seemingly prepare to feast on their parents, as David and Claire die on the dinner table where, like the kid's previous victim, they're covered in trash bags because, as David tells Jack earlier in the film, dead things go in trash bags. It leaves you to ponder if the children are simply real-world murderous psychopaths, or it's a case of the supernatural where the children are worshipping an evil that's transformed them into the proverbial dragons, as indicated by the constant motif. In fact, Claire's earlier point about feeling like her family were always strangers to her suggests that the kids were already the dragons, the wolf in sheep's clothing, so to speak. And perhaps maybe this entire tragedy could have been prevented had the parents recognized the red flag sooner and intervened before it was too late.